Болцсон. За надад хэлээрэ болцсон бол. Please just let me know we are ready. Okay, we need to wait a few seconds. Okay, now it's time to start. Okay, good morning everyone and welcome to our webinar on reimagining STEAM research culture. Okay, actually we know, right? And yeah, this is the today's agenda. There are 3 speakers and a discussion section. And following that, I have an announcement to share with you about the 23rd APNN meeting in Malaysia. And actually, as most of you may know, this project was founded by the University of Warwick, right? Then funding for this project has allowed us to gather some of the most experienced women in STEM field across our Asia Pacific Nation Network to talk to you today about the status of STEM research and innovation in the region, and some of the barriers they encountered along the way, and action that help provide opportunity for equivalence and inclusive representation of the women in STEM research and over the last 20 years. Then as you listen to their talk, please make note of how your own country compares and if some of the approaches might be useful. Then you can ask them about their experiences during the question and answer section at the end of this webinar. Yeah, then, okay. With that in mind, I would like to introduce the president of INWES, Dr. John Sang Kim, who will tell us more about and detail about this research project. Then now I would like to introduce you. The Professor Jung Sang Kim is the current president of INWES. She is the executive vice president of Dongseo University since 2019 and has held various leadership positions in the academic and government government committees and non-governmental organizations. She has a PhD in medical chemistry and published over 15 papers in internationally peer-reviewed journals. Her current work focuses on academic administrations and policy research on women in STEM, including international collaborative survey among Asia Pacific Nation Network's members on gender barrier in STEM, which was led by the Association of Korean Women Scientists and Engineers. In 2019, she was conferred the Order of the Science and Technology by the Korean government. Okay, welcome, Professor Jung Sang Kim.
Thank you. Let me share my slide first. Okay.
Sure.
All right, can you see my slide?
Yes.
Thank you. Good morning and good afternoon to some of you. I am the current president of INWES, and on behalf of the board of directors of INWES, I would like to express my most sincere greetings to our members of the APNN and speakers and participants of the second webinar of the Reimagining a STEM Research Culture project. I would like to thank Professor Aryon Bolor Purvi, Chair of APNN, for organizing again this seminar or webinar. Also to Professor Kin Sandar Tun, Professor Batsengal Batar, Ms. Shunlian Sung, who are members of INWES, and to Bold and Bold and the wonderful INWES IT team for making the webinar possible. Special thanks to our Vice President Conferences, Professor Georgia Cremida, for obtaining funding for a series of webinars, including today's webinar, and from the University of Warwick. I would like to also thank Dr. Jenny Spina and Ms. Stephanie Kona for managing the project. A big thank you to our distinguished speakers today, Mrs. Hishigdulam Tumor Batirn, Dr. Lemin Tang, and Dr. Anya Manyun Lin. Thank you so much for your precious time and for your presentation, which we look forward to. Thanks to our Vice President Conferences, Professor Georgia Cremida, INWES was able to obtain funding for a series of webinars that has begun in March and will be continuing until July of this year. The project is a collaboration between INWES and the University of Warwick, entitled Reimagining a STEM Research Culture, Lessons Learned from 20 Years of Evolution for Inclusive Representation in Science and Engineering. 20 years is quite meaningful because this year we mark the 20th anniversary of the establishment of INWES. So please mark your calendars for July 20th. For a global celebration that we are planning in continuation and as a concluding seminar or a webinar of this series, which we hope to where we hope to celebrate our 20th birthday. This project focuses on improving access to and participation of women and those belonging to the underrepresented groups in STEM research, contributing to a culture that supports the development of strong identities and academic mindsets to underrepresented groups in STEM research is also the focus of the project. We hope to show how diversity and inclusion in STEM would benefit society as a whole. We hope to thus extrapolate, analyze, and discuss policies, initiatives, projects, and interventions delivered across the world in the last 20 years from 2002 to 2022 in STEM academia and industry. On May 7th, APNN held its first webinar in the form of a dialogue workshop to discuss the current status and barriers in STEM research in countries which include Malaysia, India, and Japan. We were introduced to the MIRA policy in Malaysia. We were introduced to the situation of tertiary education in STEM in India and the unconscious bias that exists in Japan. However, we could all agree that the situation, especially on unconscious bias, does exist in most of our countries. Today, we hope to learn how policies have evolved or is evolving in Mongolia, Vietnam, and Taiwan. The speakers today are from the three organizations that joined INWES after actually the APNN was established. So I think it's quite meaningful that we have the three countries represented in the webinar today. I personally would like to see and would be very interested to see how the three organizations have developed since joining INWES in 2011. For those of you who are new to INWES, I would like to just very briefly give you an introduction of INWES, which is a global organization of women in STEM with organizational members, corporate members, university members, and individual members, all together comprising about 250,000 women from over 40 countries worldwide. Our mission is to build a better future worldwide through full and effective participation of women and girls in all aspects of STEM. And as I said, our history goes back to 20 years when it was first established in 2002. We are an organization that oversees a triennial conference that is called INWES, which started in 1964 in New York. Our most recent one was held in last year, hosted by the University of Warwick in UK. It was their first virtual conference due to COVID, but our next INWES, which is going to be next year in 2023, will be held in hybrid format, where I hope to see many of you in person, and it is going to be in New Zealand, hosted by AWIS and Engineering New Zealand. This is a map that shows where we have had conferences since 1964. The red ones are before INWES started, and the blue ones and the green ones are mostly after INWES was established. And we will be seeing you hopefully next year at ICWES 19 in New Zealand. These are countries that are represented by our APNN members, and I'm sure you will find your flag here. If you don't, I think it's a good time for you to consider joining INWES. Some photographs from past ICWES conferences, which were held very successfully, and we are looking forward to another very successful conference next year in 2023. So please mark your calendars for September 3 to 6, and there will be more announcements on the ICWES conference shortly. So these are the objectives of INWES. And one very important project that INWES is pursuing this year is the series of conferences a series of webinars which you are joining at this moment. And there are other regional networks that are also holding these webinars, which you may be interested. If the time does not fit the time where you are, we have the YouTube channels open, and the recordings are available for you to see anytime. So please also check out for the other webinars in our INWES Global YouTube channel. So I hope that today's webinar is going to be another successful one, and I do anticipate as such because of our wonderful speakers. And through our webinars, we are reminded of what science and engineering with gender equality can do as a vital agenda for a sustainable world. We are also reminded that although the progress is slow, we must remind ourselves once again that only through the full participation of women and girls in science can we achieve a better future for all. Thank you all for joining INWES in building an inclusive culture in science and engineering. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and Professor Johnson Kim, for the very nice introduction of the International Women of Science, Engineers, and Scientists, INWES, and the introduction of the project as well. Thank you very much. Then next we have Dr. Anya Man from Taiwan Women in Science and Technology. And now I will share her introduction. Dr. Anya Man obtained for Bachelor in Science in Pharmacy and Master in Science and Pharmacology at the National Taiwan University. She pursued for PhD in Neuropharmacology at the University of Colorado Health Science Center in the United States. She serves as an adjunct researcher at the Taipei Veterans General Hospital since 2005. She is likewise the director and professor of the Department of the Pharmacy of National Yangmin Chia Tang University, Taipei, Taiwan, starting in 2016. In 2019, Dr. Ling was elected as the president of the Society of Taiwan Women in Science and Technology, TWIST, and continued leading his prestigious organization to date. The TWIST is an organizational member of the International Network of Women Engineers and Scientists. Okay, Dr. Anya Man, it is your time to talk. Thank you. You are muted.
Okay. Can you see my PowerPoint and my voice?
Yes, sure.
Okay.
Everything's fine.
Okay. Thank you. Dear President Kim and Chair Aribola, and ladies and gentlemen, good morning and good afternoon. Okay, first, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to Drs. Kim and Kremita, okay, and also Aribola to organize this webinar. And it is really my great honor to present the research culture in STM in Taiwan here today. Okay. Okay. First, I will just briefly go over the progress of the gender equity in Taiwan. Okay. In 1987, the first time advocacy by Women Awaiting Foundation, which is a grassroots non-government organization. Okay. 10 years later, okay, the Committee of the Promotion of Women's Rights was established at the task force level. Okay. In the following year, Foundation of Promotion of the Development of Women's Rights, okay, was established, okay, to implement the gender action with government supports. In 2001, the woman key opinion leader in STM field started to introduce the gender mainstream in the National Science Council, also named as Minister of Science and Technology today as MOST. I will mention MOST later on, okay, in a few slides. This is the agency responsible for the scientific and technology development in our country by promoting the development of science and technology, supporting academia research. So all my research grant is from this department, okay? And then also developing the science park and also facilitating the strong link between academic research and the industrial development. In 2002, the Act of Gender Equity in Employment was enacted to protect the gender equality in right to work, okay? And in 2004, the Act of Gender Equality in Education, okay, to promote the gender equality, eliminate the gender discrimination, and uphold human dignity, as well as improve and establish education resources and environment in the gender equality. Okay. In 2012, the Committee of Gender Equality was formed at the ministry level of the government in the executive year. Okay. With all these efforts, the gender inequality still exists in the STM pipeline, so-called a leaky STM pipeline in Taiwan. Okay. For example, in higher education, including bachelor degree, master degree, and a PhD degree, more male students okay, major in engineering and the sciences than a female student. Accordingly, more male engaged in the STM-related profession after graduation. Okay. Okay. So when we look into the research capacity in the undergraduate, we found that more female students, this red line, okay, more female students conducted research than male ones, okay? Again, from here, you can tell that science and engineer are the research field for male, okay? When we analyze this data, only pull out the data about engineering. More male students focus on the engineer again, okay? Furthermore, for the MOST data, it is very encouraging to know that more and more female scientists, this is female scientists, okay, engaged research, okay, from 25% in 2016 to about 28% in 2021. It is increasing trend. However, when we analyzed the data, okay, we found that the increase in the percentage in the female grant may be due to the reduction in the grant by male, okay, because the blue line here is a research by male. So it is decreasing, but it is a weird phenomenon. It is really a phenomenon. But among this, about 28%, we analyzed the different field. We found that female scientists in engineer field is still the lowest compared to the science, life science, and the humanity. Okay. When we analyze the R&D expenditure, we found that more than 80% of the expenditure went to engineering field. Here, shown in here. Wait, here. Okay. Again, we analyze the R&D manpower by gender, okay, by gender, male and female, and by occupation, researcher, technician, and supporting staff. We found that male, okay, we found that we found that male was only 26% of the total here, this one, of the total manpower. And male are dominant in researcher as PI compared to female is only 50%, okay? And then female actually is dominant in supporting staff, 15% compared to the male in the only 4%, okay? So it is important to promote the knowledge for the female in this R&D research, okay? So if we plot the data in this line, we have found that the researcher is higher in men as this solid line, and the dotted line is female. In contrast, the solid line here is male staff, supporting staff, and the dotted line is the female supporting staff, okay? Due to the gender inequality in STM as shown in the previous slides, okay, proactive female groups were formed by female scientists and technologists in related field, and they actually exert their efforts to promote gender equality. For example, working group on women in physics are shown in this group, and then also working group on women in chemistry are shown in here. It was formed by Dr. Jali Wu, okay? And also the women in optics are shown in here. Okay, women in optics. And then also women in engineering, and women in nuclear, and STM women in National Taiwan University, and also the Society Taiwan women in science and technology. I will tell this later in the next slide. The major function of this woman group is to provide guidance and assistance, exchange of experience, professional support to female research, in the hope to inspire more female to actively participate in the related research field in STM. Okay, here is my society. Okay, this is the Society of Taiwan Women in Science and Technology, which was established in 2011. Okay, the founder was the late president, Professor Jali Wu. I know we miss him, we miss her a lot. Okay, and our society invites female scientists, engineering, technologists with diverse background in STEAM. This is science, technology, engineering, art, mathematics, and medicine. Okay, this, as mentioned previous, our society is an organization member of the INWES. This is our objects. I will not go through detail about this one. Okay, but due to the STM pipeline is leaking, so there are strategies to fix this leak STM pipeline. Okay, for example, we held STM conferences to promote STM education to high school girl students. Female KOL are invited to share their experience and the school life. The moderator, the important is the moderator. The moderate are high school girl students that they can closely interact with this role model. At the same time, they will be trained to be self-confident. Moreover, we have several medias by academic field to promote STM networking. Okay, this one is a newsletter, which also established by Dr. Jali Wu. Okay. In addition to this newsletter, we still have websites. Okay. We have a Facebook group. Okay. To educate or to provide the information about STM to public. And we also provide adult mentoring girls and also young student women in STM. So this media actually provides support and companionship to women in science and technology. We want to build a broad spectrum of women in science and technology images. We want to share the woman in science and technology's life story and the STM work of the new generation. And this is the editor, Dr. Hong. Furthermore, we have a STM news for the GIST, Gender in Science and Technology, from the university. This is Zhongxin University. It is in the middle part of Taiwan. Okay. This news actually share the experience from the industry of the employees. They invite the KOL from the state of art, okay, to share their point of view from industry. This news also shared experience from the woman in the science, technology, art, and the culture, and also improving the gender equality in academic by translating international article on STM to local language. Okay, they also take the university social responsibility by encouraging high school girls to embrace the beauty of science and technology. So this is the editor, Dr. Her. Okay. It is very happy to know that, okay, after all these efforts, okay, we found that in more than half of the top girls high school, okay, so this high school are almost the best in Taiwan, okay. Student tends to study STM related subject in higher education, okay. The red one is STM classes. So the class, the girl student in this class actually choose STM related subjects as their major in the higher education. For example, in the university. Okay. Furthermore, okay, to promote the networking among the female engineer, scientists, and the technology, we and other 50 institutions, including academic and the industrial group in the field of STM, jointly, okay, held a conference entitled 2021 Women in Science and Technology Conference. Okay, and a total more than 1,100 people signed up for this conference, including 30% of students and 70% of the female. Moreover, 70 high school girls students were invited to participate the conference, okay, hoping to set a benchmark for the female talent to be, okay, and encourage them to join the STM pipeline. Okay, we have surveyed and found that the main barrier for the gender equality, including social pressure, lack of the work-life balance, such as female is a main caregiver in the family, okay, and the role model, lack of role model, and the lack of the self-esteem. And this finding is confirmed by Dr. Fang in 2022 this year, which worked with the Chinese Institute of Engineering. Okay. Due to this STM pipeline leakage, some policy has been interact to encourage female scientists to continue their research work. For example, okay, when a female scholar become mother, they are especially busy with their children who may be 1 to 3 years old. Under this circumstance, evaluation of 5-year research performance can be extended for 2 more years. Okay, if she has given a birth, okay, or took parental leave within 5 years. Okay, each birth can extend 2 years. Okay, in 2021, from diagnosis of pregnancy until the child is born, until the child is 3 years old, the female PI can apply a subsidy from the government to hire one more research assistant or postdoctoral researcher. Okay. To encourage female researcher to engage her research, a subsidiary grant will be provided if she has no research grant for 3 years. Okay. Since 2007, MOST, okay, has called proposal, okay, and invite academic profession to investigate the gender in science and technology from different perspectives. Okay, from these two charts, we can tell that there are more grants by female research. Okay, the red one is female. Okay, in terms of square number and the total budget. This data indicate that female researchers are more concerned about GIST issue, about gender in science and technology issue. Okay. Again, from 2007 to 2017, more than 500 academic-oriented reports on gender in science and technology has been published. Okay. In order to educate public about the gender equality in science field, in STM field, Dr. Cai Liling, her picture is over here, as the editor, select 42 papers which employed methods of sex or gender analysis as a source to create a new knowledge and stimulate novel design. Okay, and she also invited authors to translate their academic researcher into a public scientific article. Okay, so nowadays the public can access the gist in a reader-friendly manner. Okay, in order to increase the popularity of this book, the book promotion activity was held in a fan bookstore on January 9, 2021. Okay, I would like to briefly introduce fan bookstore. Dr. Sun Lian Song is the president nowadays. No, this is a unique bookstore to sell gender-related books. This fan bookstore is the only female bookstore in Taiwan and maybe in Asia. This place not only sell books related with gender issue, but also publish book and audio. Okay, so this is the conference that can be held in this fan books. And on the shelf, you can see a lot of books related to the gender. Okay, and in addition to sell book, this bookstore also publish audio book and the books. As this one, the left one is the sense and the sensibility of the female technologist. Okay, and in this book, the editor was Jia Wu. Okay, okay. Now let's back to the book again. Okay, this book is called Wow, it's so-called GIST. Okay, there are 8 topics. Okay, and then this book covers gender and inclusive issues, which are incorporated into real life. Okay, the content of the book expresses the importance of humanity and equality, as well as the economic value. It is important to convert the gender innovation academic paper or articles to popular science, and it will benefit not only women, but all mankind. Okay, so I will just briefly go through several topics. Okay, the first one is gender-friendly space. Okay, the gender-friendly space should fulfill several criteria. It is inclusive, privacy, comfort, and confidence and safety. Okay, for example, okay, different heights of the handrail, okay, are designed in our rapid transit in Taipei. Okay, lower handrail for petite women and children. Okay, and the seats are arranged, okay, to avoid peeping and insults. Okay, yes, and then also the gender-friendly toilet in public are arranged from binary to non-binary gender. That is diversity. That's diversity. So we so-called all gender restroom. Okay, so this is the handrail. Okay, the higher and lower over here. Okay, and then this is the mark of the all gender restaurant, and this restroom, and this restroom is in my university. Okay, in addition, there are restroom for multiple purpose. Okay, such as for the diaper changing. Okay, for handicap. Okay. Furthermore, the second issue is about the public park. Okay, the public park provide gender and age-friendly facilities. Okay, first of all, the barrier-free and the gender and age-friendly services for the elderly to move freely and exercise. Okay, so you can tell that some of the older elderly, they actually exercise in the park. And you can tell this lady, she's my mom. Okay, she's my mom. Okay, so you can also tell that there are restroom with a parent and a child toilet. Okay, or breastfeeding and the collecting room, or the restroom with child toilet, baby seat, and diaper table. Okay, and also this one shows the parent-child parking space. Okay, and third issue is about medical education. Okay, the proportion of the female top, this is top medical graduate, female top medical graduate. This female actually received award. Okay, if their grade were good in the university. Okay, so the number of these female top medical students were grown over the last 3 decades, from here to here. Okay, so after 2012, the percentage of the female average or all medical graduates was like 32%, and top medical graduate was 42%. Okay, indicates that female medical students performance are very good. However, glass ceilings in the leadership at the administration level in the hospital are not uncommon. It's very uncommon. It's very common. So you can tell that from the president, okay, or the vice president, or the director of the department in the hospital are male mostly. Okay. Furthermore, this female top medical graduate prefer to choose dermatology or ophthalmology because they have less on call, but avoid general surgery. Okay, for work and life balance. Yeah, because they tend to take care family. This female medical graduate tend to take care of family more than male. That's why they choose this medical department with less on call. So you can tell dermatology female is more than 50%, and ophthalmology. Okay. This slides conclude my talk. Okay, the gender in science, and technology is a critical interdisciplinary research domain, which is important because this research can help address prospective policy for women in science and technology and STM pipeline. From this diagram, we know that currently policy in Taiwan, including encouraging girls to study STM education and role model. Okay, and then this is student school life, and the requirement will be the STM promote the female to engage in STM profession, and also pregnancy policy, and also subsidiary grant. Okay, all together with this gender-friendly environment, collaboration, networking, and public science education. Okay, we want to promote female students engaged in higher STM education, and female research engaged in the research in the STM research. Okay, and then the ultimate goal.
Dr. Anya, now it is almost your time is done. Please keep
Okay.
it. Thank you.
Okay, so the last sentence is, we want to fully support the female talent in STEM field. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anyaman. Thank you for your very interesting perspective and your presentations. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Ariabona, can you tell me how to pronunciate that?
My name?
No, no, this one. This one.
Which one?
Okay, let me show you.
Okay.
Wait a second, because I want to know how to pronunciate this one. This one.
Yeah, Vaisha.
Vaisha. Okay, thank you for listening.
Thank you. It's really nice. Thank you, Vaisha.
Thank you very much.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. Now I would now like to introduce Dr. Min Tham from Vietnam Association for Intellectual Women. Okay, then now let me introduce. What's wrong? Yeah, now let me introduce Dr. Min Tham. Dr. Min Tham is professor at the Department of Organic and Petrochemical Technology School of Chemical Engineering, Hanoi University of Science and Technology. She is an expert in the field of catalysis in Vietnam and currently is a committee member of the Asia Pacific Association of Catalysis. She obtained core engineering degree in petrochemistry at the Hanoi University of Science and Technology in 1997 and core PhD in chemistry at the Chen University in 2005. She currently is the head of the Hanoi University of Science and Technology branch of the Vietnam Association for Intellectual Women and the committee member of Vietnam Association for Intellectual Women. Okay, then Dr. Min Tham, it is your time to talk. Then your speaking time is 20 minutes. I hope so. You keep them 10. Thank you. Welcome, Dr. Min Tham.
Thank you very much, Professor Puvi, for the nice introductions. Now, let me show my screen with my presentation. Okay. Okay. So first of all, I would like to say good morning to all of you who attend this webinar, and also I'd like to thank you for inviting me to this webinar and give me a chance to describe something about our activity of our associations, the branch of our a branch of Vietnam Association of Intellectual Women, my presentation today is focused on the rising STEM passions for students, especially female students. As you see, I come from the Hanoi University of Science and Technology. Therefore, the STEM is a topic that our university and all of us like to increase and attract the students to come to the university too. So therefore, let me first introduce a little bit about our university. You know our Vietnam already, and we are our university is in the capital of Vietnam, in Hanoi. Here is the main building of our university, and our university was established in 1956, and recently is one of the most quality University of Technology in Vietnam, and we are ranked 1,000th university in the world. So let me introduce briefly about the system, the structure of our university. That we have 13 school and 3 faculty. Is going to change to restructure to the different other schools, but at the moment I can introduce the 13 school and 3 faculty. We also have 5 research institute and 2 research center, let me take the pointer. Yeah. And we have 1,650 staff. Among them, there are 1,020 to 200 faculty, and maybe it will be interesting for you about the number of female staff, that we have 755 female staff. Among them is 377 lecturer. So you can see that in an university of technology, the number of female staff is not too little. I think it's okay, right? And one of the reasons is the work in the university is more suitable for the women, so they prefer the work in the university. But as the same agreement, I have also an agree with Professor Lin just of the previous presentation, that the number of the female staff in the highest position or in with the high level is less than the number of the female staff in the supporting position. So you can see with the lecturer is less than 50% is working in this. About the student, we have more than 35,000 students, but only about 20% is female student. So it reflects the picture in a technology university. Just not a lot of female students would like to come to the very hard and difficult topic of the technology university. They prefer to work in the economy of business, foreign language, etc. So now the number, the percent of the female student only 20%, and therefore our university also aim to increase the number of female students interested to work in technological university and in our university, therefore the university also support us in activity relating the increase the presence for the female student of high school to come to our university, and as you can see, we have 170 training program for undergraduate, master, and doctoral students. So here I list some schools of our university to show you the the research field and the area of the topic in our university. So you can see that we have the applied mathematics and informatics. We also have the school in biotechnology and food technology and chemical engineering, and is a lecturer at School of Chemical Engineering. We also have the School of Economics and Management, so economy and management for technology. Also, there are other schools with a harder field, for example, like electrical engineering, engineering physics, information communication technology, and mechanical engineering. So it is very hard topic for the female student. They thought that of course. Then we understand why the ratio of female students in this university is not a lot. It will be very nice if more female students studying on this field. As you can see, the number of female students increase from year to year. Is some students have already graduated from that course and also involved in the research activity and production activity of some product of the university. So I would like to take time to introduce a little bit about our association and brands. So you know already, Vietnam Associations of Intellectual Women have already been established in 2011, and up to date we have 8 member associations. With about almost 3,000 members, and we have 29 branches with more than 2,000 members in this branch. We also have 3 affiliated units in the association, and our university we is a branch of the Vietnamese Association of Intellectual Women, which we call the Hanoi University of Science Technology branch. We are very young. We just established in 2020. And the member of our branch is about 100 people. Here is a picture of our branch when we was established, and here is a picture of our Vietnamese Association of Intellectual Women in the new term 2021 to 2026. So the aim of our branch is to encourage women scientists doing research and developing their career, and we also aim to encourage female students, not only scientists, women scientists, but also the female students to follow science and to follow with love, because we think that they can only do the follow the career if they love this career. So the activity of our branch is focused on this, on the activity that can support for this objective. Some of the activity we have already done until now is to introduce a technological product from our member to among the member of our branch, and also to the other to the society too. we also have the activity to connect the member with the business company, aiming to introduce their research and their experience to the business company, and to enhance the cooperation between the university and the company. We also provide the information about research, the different research scientific prize to members, to our member, and also encourage them to apply for the research called scientific prize that are suitable for them. And one of the activities that we are very interested to focus on recently, it does organize STEM classes for students at high school or below a secondary school too, to introduce the general information about science for them, and that's the way to make them love science from the very young age, and this may help them to choose the technology and science in the future. Together with it, we also organize a series of public lecture on science and technology, and we announce it a live stream, and we announce to the high school student and secondary school student too, with the same objective. So I take this chance to show you some of the activity that now we have already done. STEM class that we organize for the student. The objective of this class is to introduce general science and technology for young students through simple, very simple experiment. Through that, to introduce to them what is a science, what is a different type. Different field of science. Already organize some type of experiment. For example, here is multi-directional curve image processing for virtual reality application. So the student can see it through this this device. It's not only for female students, it's for all students, but we encourage the female student to come to study, to learn, and also the class all was held by the female teacher, our member female teacher. So it's also a way that attract the female student, that the female they might become the successful and interesting a person in the future, like the female teacher who teaching this class. So that's the aim. So here is experiment.
You have now and 5 minutes remaining.
Okay, so so I will go briefly through this activity, so you can see that not only in electronic but also in chemicals, they can do the experiment, and also IoT, they can do the experiment. Then we organize a series of public lecture on once a month. It's offline at our university, but also live stream for the student at the high school, and we publish the video in YouTube and also Facebook, that they can see later to know about the research and also the different technology and science. So we attract the student to love the scientific and technology, and also enter to our university. Here is some images about this public lecture. Here is about the air pollution in Vietnam and application in AI in monitoring and forecasting the air pollution. I will show some of my one example about that in the one example about that in this online video. So you can see an example about. So here is an online video with live stream. About the about the computer visions. Yeah. So sorry, that's so sorry that the connection is not so good, so it can go fast. Let me come back.
Yeah, Dr. Min, please provide us this
my slide
and the link of this video.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
It's okay, no problem. Now you have only 2 minutes to talk.
So now we also have the application in computer science in life, and also the different topic in fashion and life. Mean that all of the topic in the that our university we do have the research, and we also teach the student and in the physics as well. So we also have one activity that's in cooperation with a project which called the seminar on women engineer and future scientists, which we invite the outstanding engineer to talk to attract the future female engineer at our university to develop their career and to make them have the passion to go to continue their study as an engineer. So in this we have already five speaker who come to the seminar to talk with the student. So I can go to the end. I'm sorry about the problem with the internet, I think. So it's difficult to So I come to the conclusion that we found that raising STEM passion for students, especially female students, by making them love science and technology through attractive lecture and interesting experiment is a very good way to make the student love science and then will become the future scientists. So this activity will contribute to increase the number of future women engineering, and especially in our university, we think that is good, and we also our university also support us in such activity to attract the female students to come to the university. Finally, I would like to thank you very much for listening, and I'm looking forward to the sharing experience. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Min Chang, for your very interesting talking and for sharing your experiences. Thank you. I hope so you may share your and the link. Okay, now I am ready to introduce our final speaker. Then our final speaker is Mr. Kishik Batri. And Kshik Dodon Patrin is an experienced higher education, high engineering institutions, partnership consultant who engage with this academic capacity building and promotes contemporary Mongolian studies internationally. Who are working in network involved with many nation higher education, high engineering education, the Academy of the Science, public institutions, and businesses. Core projects such as Prime Winner Lecture Series, Business in Classroom Lecture Series, Academic Leadership, and Project Management involve multi-party, collaborative, fundraising, and partnership, development, and building public awareness of science and academia. Mr. Kshiklan Patrin, it is your time. Okay, thank you.
Hello. Okay.
Good morning.
Greetings to all. So it's my pleasure to present to you all my presentation today. Okay, I'm going to do it on full screen and try to share my slides. Do you see my slide?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, please make it bigger and full screen.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Thank you. Okay.
thanks for the organizers giving me the opportunity to talk about the generic like situational picture about science and technology in Mongolia. So before I start going to my presentation, if I cough, please accept my apologies. I'm just in the healing process of the cold. But I think it's not going to be a big problem because I did some present preparation. So in order to answer the question about give the full picture of how the science and technology is doing in Mongolia, I'll give you some background information briefly. And then I'm going to move on education system and in particular higher education system. And later I move on academic and scientific structure, budgeting, and some statistics and some details about publications. And then I'm going to move on the changes made in the past 10 years and what other policies support is received at the current level. And I plan to conclude afterwards. Okay, so as you know, Mongolia is a landlocked country with the two world powers, Russia and China, and it's 18th largest country in the world, and only 3.2 million people. It's like kind of tops the least densely populated countries in the world list, and of the advantage. So to give that picture, the image I given you the slide, kind of a pictorial slide here, to, like comparing the Singapore and Mongolia. So how it's like kind of land-wise and people-wise, it's like compared. So then the advantage of Mongolia is it's a very young country. It's like median age is 28 years. But unfortunately, it's like kind of tops also like kind of one of the corrupt countries in the world. And then because of that, it's a kind of averages in global competitiveness, even though it has a very rich mineral resources. So as we all know, economy is a kind of mirror of education and what we do in science and technology. So on this slide, you can see in generally, I try to link the generic economic activity into gender. So you can see that mining, construction, and transportations are very male dominant as traditionally. But women are very competitive in manufacturing and public administration sectors. But as you see, the Mongolian women actually invaded the education and public health sectors. And so this is like, in general, like I'm going to conclude here that women in Mongolia actively participate in economic life. Okay, so let's move on to education system. So since 1921, education became a compulsory when Mongolia got independence. And so from 1923, it became a secondary education. So till 2005, it was a 10 years compulsory general education system. But in 2005 and 2008, there were 2 changes made. And so since 2008, we have 12 years education system in a general education system. And then from there on, we can move on to vocational training, or it's they have a choice to go to universities or higher education system and up to that PhD programs. So our literacy rate is quite high among developing countries compared to Africa and Southeast Asia. It's a kind of very common to post-communist Central Asian countries. So in the human development wise, in the human resource wise, we actually average in the world. So I think we're doing just okay in the general sense, but there's some like changes need to be, or improvements need to be done in the sense of certain specific disciplines. So a bit of let's move on to statistics. And so we have 88 universities operating in 2020, and 20 of those are public universities, meaning that they're actually like kind of was established by the state and were funded by the state, and then but it's changing. So it's kind of operational background is different currently, and 65 of those are privately funded. And surprisingly, the religious universities started operating in Mongolia. So 3 of them belong to that religious groups. And if you look at the students' number, it's over 147,000. And the female students' numbers are like over 20,000 more than the male students. So, and below there's 75 schools, vocational schools. Sorry. And in there, but you'll see that the male are dominant and the females. So on the next graph, I've shown the students with disabilities in schools. Actually, you can see that numbers are kind of decreasing compared to in the past 10 years. But I'm just like kind of, it's a personal conclusion is that it's not the number of the children with disabilities are decreasing. It's actually the specialized schools in Mongolia, like for disabilities, kind of reduced, and they try to include those students in the general schools. And there are some problems with in the inclusiveness in the schools, and so there are some kind of reductions that students with disabilities involved in the general education programs. Yeah, so this is kind of a higher education statistics. So you can see, the total number of teaching staff is given, but if you look at the female teaching staff, it's higher than the female teaching staff, and it's like kind of being kept in the same pace in the past 5 years as the statistics has shown. And then the annual new entry students, female students, also like kind of higher than the male students. There is a kind of intention, like intended trends, saying that female students and female involvement are increased in higher education training. And then, so now we can see that higher education, university students, and so the university students, by also looking at the numbers, female students are like 30,000 over than the male students. It actually continues to be so. And only, as I previously mentioned in my previous slide, the diploma or vocational training students, female students are far less than the male students. Bachelor's and master's and PhD students are also, again, it's a kind of the pattern is repeated. Female students are higher. In particular, master and bachelor degree programs, female students are like far more than the male students. But if you look at the PhD numbers, the margin is less compared to undergrad and graduate studies students. So in female students, kind of the male students are catching up, or let's say the number of female students studying in PhD is like kind of relatively lower or closer to male students. Okay. On this slide, you can see that female like PhD students, like students studying in engineering is higher in other Central Asian countries. Like, so it says like Kazakhstan and Mongolia is topping the list. So these are the kind of comparative post-communist countries, and because we share this common background. So my apologies not presenting the first graph in English, but I hope you will understand. So if you look at the last column, it's a number of entries to the universities by the academic year. So the percentage is decreasing in the past 5 years. So like most of the, like if you look at the 2015 to 2016, the 90% of the graduates went to universities. But like 2019, 2020, it's like decreased to 65%, 67%. So due to that, the public expenditure on higher education is kind of reduced. I think it's also like COVID has some impact, but it's also like kind of the people who intend to do different, or like the choices are changing, I would say. Okay. So now I'm going to start talking about academic or level stuff, or the structure of science and technology. So actually, science and technology policies are policies and regulations and priorities are defined by the government of Mongolia. So 1997, the National Science and Technology Council was established to coordinate the R&D projects, like kind of prioritize R&D projects in Mongolia. But before that, under the Ministry of Education and Science, the Foundation for Science and Technology was established in 1933. So in generally, like before 1990s, before the democratic kind of system shift, the Academy of Science was majorly like kind of responsible for the science and technological research and generally, in one word, R&D. And universities were particularly kind of designed for teaching, but this is changing. So those kind of changes will be mentioned in the latest slides. And so now it's also like new entities arising in the field of science and technology. So private entities and also independent research institutes is established to share the responsibility of Academy of Science that's solely carried in the past 70 years.
Okay, Ms. Sitlam Bakrin, Right now, you have 4 minutes left.
Okay, so I have to go faster. Okay, so the budget is actually kind of kept low. So you can see it's compared the percentage. So we only have like by 2018, it is only 10%. And it's actually kept very low in the past. I'm kind of speeding up. Sorry. So it's so the R&D funding is like kind of divided in sectors. So natural sciences still keeps very high percentage, and then followed by health science and agriculture and engineering. So these are the top 5 at least is like a national state public universities getting the funding from the Science and Technology Fund. And so I'm going to skip some of those because I think the most important conclusions is kind of in the past, in the later comes in the later version. So this is kind of human resource statistics. So the number of organizations is still kind of increasing steadily, and the female staff numbers is also increasing steadily. But if you look at the PhD numbers, it's actually like increased 4 times in the past 5 years. So there are lots of regulations imposed on the university teaching staff. I think it's also partial on that. And also some people have a self-motivation to study in a postgrad studies. So publication-wise, Mongolia is kind of in the middle, in the average, like kind of doing okay with in the sense of Central Asian communities, but it has a very strong health science, surprisingly, and also like in physics and stuff, like natural science in general and natural science publications. So all the slides will be concluded in the later version, so I'm gonna skip those. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of go to my conclusions because of due to time. So in 1960s, it was like kind of there was a structural expansion and policy improvements and to support science and technology in Mongolia. So 70s, we started introducing knowledges and technologies, and in the 1980s, actually, we started creating and investing new knowledge. It was a kind and now so after, like as I mentioned earlier, 1990s and 2000s, it's a transitioning. And so because of that, I try to give the priorities. So before 1990s, it was like priorities were given to health science, like natural sciences. But nowadays, it's like kind of, it's human-related sciences goes like number 1, and then followed by agriculture and high tech. So it's like kind of followed up the changes made in the globally. So GDP sharing for the science and technology. So before 1990s, it was 1% of the GDP. But now we like kind of varies year to year, but it's no longer exceeding that 0.38 or 34%. So this is kind of 1/3 of what we used to spend on a science. So number of publications is increased. So you can see that 1957 to 1990s, it was 125. And 1990s, like up to 2019, it was like 5,000, over 5,000. It's a great achievement. And so, as I mentioned earlier, the research in education was separate, but nowadays it is like kind of the concept is research and education is combined. It's like kind of one core, and then they try to include the businesses. So there's a government is actually implementing a national program on supplement pathway, like kind of pathway to research university, promoting research and teaching universities. So with that, there are lots of programs and projects implemented. Also, like law on higher education is under discussion. So Mongolia has joined various international human rights conventions. It's politicalized, all different kinds of human rights in conventions, and it has also like developing like mutual research partnership agreements internationally. So it's like, as you see, Russia, China, South Korea, Belarus, and Taiwan are in the list, and it's actually the list is people are working on that. So I think the list will be extended. So, and also like we have a science and technology fund, as I mentioned earlier, and then also a young scholars promotion fund. It's specially designed for the scholars who are under age 30s. And then there's setting up a startup support program. So this is also for the young scholars who are willing to adopt the findings into the implementation. So there are numerous scholarship programs for the young scholars. So to conclude, so Mongolia at the moment is struggling with the budget allocation for the science and technology. This is a kind of, as I mentioned earlier, it's like only 1/3 of what we used to do, and it's due to economic kind of problems and the debts we have internationally, and all, like there are lots of factors influence. And you all may know that Mongolia has a lot of mineral resources, but this is also have a very strong impact in governance matters, and so due to corruption, the researchers have a limited opportunity to introduce their findings or research outcomes into businesses. That's kind of needs some improvements. And then also like Mongolia needs some more extended experience internationally. But there is also the one thing we also kind of face internally is that the international policies and recommendations made like kind of putting Mongolia as Northeast Asia or Southeast Asia or Pacific region, like, but it's a continental country, and it's like shares lots of common background with the Central Asian post-communist countries. So this is the kind of dilutes that Mongolia's kind of orientation on that. Those are the barriers that I can think of. So opportunity-wise, Mongolia is a very young population, so there's a potential to flourish the research and sciences in Mongolia, but it needs some proper policy in place and funding support. And as you saw that from the statistics, women play very actively involved in all levels of scientific research and jobs. And so I think there's a great potential for the women to advance in the science governance positions. And also Mongolia has a rich in natural resources. It's always good for like flourishing for the science. So those are the opportunities, and I think I'm done here. I think I just got on time.
Okay,
yeah?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. You are on time, and thank you. It is a nice and informative presentations. Also, thanks all our presentations for such informative and insightful presentations. Thank you of all our presentations. Now, I would like to turn now to any questions you may have of the speakers. Please raise your hand in Zoom. Then we will call you on people in the order in which your hand is raised. Okay, please. Okay, this is right now we have the three very powerful and experienced speakers. And now we are ready to deliver your questions to our speakers. Okay. The president of INWES, Jun Sang Kim.
Yes, actually, I think all three presentations were really inspiring, and they were very informative. Thank you very much to all the three wonderful speakers for today. I think it has been a very wonderful learning experience and sharing experience for everyone in APNN. I have a specific question for our Mongolian speaker, Mrs. Hishikdulam Tumarbatin. I found it very interesting that women are leading the STEM area in Mongolia. You mentioned about the need for policies my question is, what do you think Wisdom as an organization can do to promote the policy development for women in STEM in Mongolia?
As I mentioned, law on higher education is under discussion, and so if the engineers, women working in STEM actually participate in the input in the law, actually this is the backbone of such implementation. So this is actually kind of first initiative that research has to be combined in education. So currently we have a leading and like kind of a visible presentation in education, and also like in higher level of in the universities and higher level of higher education institutions. So that can be put in the law. So after it's like kind of there were groups actually organizing to like process the proposals for the law, and but I think furthermore that female politicians, if they successfully promote the ideas presented by the groups, then it will be kind of opens the door for the better positioning in the science governance in Mongolia for the women.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. There is another question from the Patsingal, who is one of the board member of INWES, asking from the doctor, Minting, Vietnam Association for Intellectual Women, right? And there is a question I am shown here. Then can you tell us about the comparison of the current research culture and previous one before 1990, namely and 80s? Dr. Mintan.
Yeah, thank you for the questions. I think that's the comparisons between the current research cultures now recently compared to the before. I think that have changed a lot. At the moment, I think that more and more female researchers than before, and also the researchers here, the female researcher now have more condition to do science than before. You know that in 1990 or 1980s, the economic condition is very not so good, especially in my country. And at that time, doing research is really a big task because they don't have enough funding for the research. But it changed a lot recently, and also the number of the female researchers also increased because recently they found that the female woman is more suitable with doing research at the university, where the salary is not too much compared to the industry, but they have they still have time for their responsibility for their family too. So I mean that of course the work at the university is hard is busy, but they still can arrange to spend time for the family too. So that's the reason why the number of the researcher, female researcher, increased, and also they have now a better condition than before, so they can do a better research. I really found that at my university that female researchers are really excellent. They can leading in the research and also can have a very very quality research. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you. And also there are again 2 questions from Dr. Anyaman and from the Taiwan Women in Science and Technology, and Dr. Min Tang from Vietnam Association for Intellectual Women. And I am shown here again.
Okay.
And what policy paper or regulation do you have in terms of inclusion of women and girls and gender equality in STEM education and research? Second question is, how many percentage of state budget is allocated for research, and how is the participation of women scientists? Do they have same opportunities to be promoted and supported like male scientists?
Okay. So the question is for Dr. Man and me. Why Dr. Man have waiting for Dr. Man answer? I think that I can say something about that. In my country, at the moment we don't have any policy, special policy for the STEM education and research for the women. So it's the same for between the men and the women, that there are no difference. So that's something that if they can change, then it will be very nice. Of course, the only thing they do here is the ratio of the women's research, the female research in one project, for example. So they will have the priority for the project with a suitable ratio of female researcher. However, it's not in a policy paper, yes, as I know. And about the budget, in my country, it's the same for female and male researcher. So there are nothing different. So that's something that if it improves, it will be better, much better for a female researcher. Thank you.
Okay. In our country, as to the STEM education for the girls, I think we kind of promote them to attend the STM related camp, okay, especially during the summer, for example, that promote or introduce them to the STM field, and then encourage them to enter the STM pipeline. But we don't exactly have any regulation, okay, because in our country, education is fair to all the women, a girl and a boy. We have a very fair system for the entrance of the university. Okay, you have to take the exam. It's a national-wide test. Okay, and of course there are 2 stages. The first stage is more like a SAT test. Like American, we have the interview. Okay, so from that part of the interview, we can tell if they have, I mean, girl students, if they have engaged some of the science projects. Okay, maybe there will be some plus when they apply for the university. Okay, this is in terms of STEM education. In terms of the STEM research, I think female scientists, as I mentioned in the PowerPoint, that we have a few regulations or policies for the female scientists, for example, during their pregnancy or during their parenting time. Okay, and for those who did not have research grant for 3 years, these female scientists, they can apply for another subsidized grant. Okay, this is not applied for male scientists. Okay, this is in terms of STEM education and research. And then the research funding, the research funding for women, I think it's more like about 20 to 27%, because in my last in my previous slide, I showed that almost 28% female scientists, right? So these female scientists, they actually get like 25% of the total grants. So I actually have a doubt or a question that the average grant for female kind of lower than the average grant for the male. Okay. And then do they have some opportunity to be promoted and support like a male scientist? I think we have a very clear regulation for promotion, especially in the university. If you want to get promoted from assistant professor to associate professor and then to the full professor, we have a similar regulation for both sex, both genders. Yeah, but in the research funding from the MOST, they have some benefits for those women who have childbearing. Okay, this is it. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your answers. Thank you. And there is again questions. Dr. Seema Singh from Voice India. Please start your question.
Good morning. Actually, I have written in the chat box that I can see similarity between Vietnam, India, and Mongolia. As the expert said, that Mongolia also initially before 90, there were more emphasis on science, and now it is on technology. So I can see very much similar in India also. And then the condition for women scientists, it was not so good. It was like Vietnam when I compare. So it was not so good before 90, but now there are so many programs and better condition, better opportunity for women scientists and more attention towards women scientists. Thank you.
Thank you. And any other questions? Okay, there is again another questions from the 3 speakers. This is a general questions, right? Then I will show you those questions to you. Then please prepare your questions, right? This is for 3 speakers. For 3 speakers, right? Who wanna start? Then please raise your hand, and I will call you in your order. Raise your hand. Yeah, there is actually, how would you rank the research costs in your country, especially in Vietnam and Taiwan and Mongolia, compared with that in other Asia Pacific countries? Okay, I wanna start, and Dr. Anya.
Yes, I think our research culture in Taiwan actually is quite competitive in a way, yeah, because in addition to some of the regulation that is favored for the women, for example, in the childbearing age, or in 3 years who didn't get the grant, you will get some of the benefit. Otherwise, I think in our country, we are quite competitive in this kind of research culture, yeah, in terms of STEM field. Yes.
Okay, thank you. How about in your country, in Vietnam, and Dr. Milton?
Sorry. Yes, the research culture in Vietnam compared to the other Asia Pacific country, I don't know how should I say, but I think that is good. It in the same level with the other country. So we are as a scientist. The observation from myself is that we can communicate it in the research community in the Asia Pacific country, and we also have some good research and publication in the international journals. So I think that the research culture in my country now is good, in the same levels with the other country. Yes, and in that,
okay, thank you very much, Mr. Shikdolum Batrin. How about your country?
Okay, about Mongolia. Mongolia, like other countries, the funding is very competitive, and due to scarcity of funding, the younger scholars need to struggle a little bit, but there's policy changes taking place. So I would say that it's actually the situation is improving, and it's also like Mongolia is overcoming the political ideology shift. So it's also having an impact on that. But in general, I would say that if the Mongolia's policymakers understand the consequences of policy change and predicted positive outcomes, the science governance situation will improve in the near future. I think it's going to be. I think it will do better in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, now it is. If there is no questions, then I would like to thank all of participants in today's webinar for this very nice, informative, and interesting discussions and questions and answers. Right, and right now I have a request from the speakers and audiences. We want to take photo with all speakers and audience. Please keep your camera on. After and taking the photo, official photo, I will announce a very important and nice conference. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Please wait. Now we are preparing to take the photo. That's not right. Have you done? Okay, please, 1, 2, 3. Okay, good. Again, once again, please wait a few seconds again. Because also we are going to take the photo and 2 or 3 times. we are done now. Okay, thank you. Now, and I'm going to announce you. And there one announcement. I would like to share an announcement with you about the 2032 APN meeting in Malaysia. And this is the 20th INWES APN meeting in 2022 and the third International Conference on Women in Science, Engineering and Technology will be held jointly from the 12th and 15th of October and 2020 in Penang in Malaysia. And that meeting is being hosted by the Women Engineers section of Institution of Engineering of Malaysia. Right, then please see that is all important timeline. Then please submit your paper by going to the link provided here. This link, and note, and that is important dates and provided by the sharing. Okay, now I am going to begin sharing. Sorry, it is my fault. Then I will begin to tell you. Okay. Then again, I am going to announce you. And this is then now the conference and 12 INWES APN meeting in 2020 and the third one, right? Okay. Then look at here, there is the link. This is the most important things. You need to submit your abstract to this and the link, right? Then finally, I would like to present a short video about the coming APNN meeting and International Conference on Women in Science and Engineering Technology in 2020, hosted by the Malaysia. Sharing is here. No? Now, how this is sharing now? It is good, right? Okay. Yeah, thank you. Then there is sorry, there is some in the technical issues. Now I hope so you are watching the slides. Then I am just explain that is the 15th INWES APNN meeting and in 2020 and third and the Women in Science and Engineering and Technology Conference and on 12th and 15th October 2022 in Malaysia. Thank you. I hope so you enjoy with this and the short video store. Then now and for your information, we are going to organizing this follow up webinar as part of this project. Stay tuned for more information on that. Then also your name will be added to the mailing list to receive up to date and the date information. Also, you will find out the more information from this YouTube. And also, I would like to express our deepest appreciations to all of three speakers. And yeah, totally 6 speakers and the project team of University of Warwick and President of INWES and INWES Conference and IT peoples and communication teams and administration supports. Thank you very much. Then I hope so you enjoy with this webinar. Thank you. Now it is our webinar is getting ending. Thank you.
Thank you very much.